Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. Our guest today is Shanna Goodman, and this is Smart Business Moves.
Woohoo! All right.
Hey,
All right. Shanna's still looking up a couple of things here, but that's perfect for us, y'all, because I want to talk about the Issa Kiss, where we are just going to spend 2 minutes at the beginning of each podcast to talk about ISSA. ISSA residential, actually, I guess now, right? And just as a reminder to
Issar?
everybody, say it
Issar?
again.
Can we say that? Issar?
I've gotten the heavy no on that.
Okay.
So
A hard no.
yeah.
All right.
Even ISSAR, it's tough to say though, right? It's just tough.
All right.
So we've had other things that were harder, but all right. So the
Certainly.
big thing, there's so many. The big thing that's going on right now, especially for anybody that's local, I would say, Tom, in South Carolina, North Carolina. What else? Where else is really close to you, driving distance?
You know, we're pretty close to Georgia. Georgia's like a couple hours away.
Okay.
North Carolina definitely. A little bit of Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Even Florida is a fairly reasonable drive.
Okay. And if you're dealing with the heat, like a lot of places are across the country, hey, now you have an excuse to get into your nice air-conditioned car and just cruise for a little while.
Yeah.
And go to Tom's Place, 2030 Harley Street. You like the way I just know that address?
And unlike a lot of people who live on the west coast of Washington, we have air conditioning here.
Oh my God, I can't wait to get there. I never thought I'd say I can't wait to get to South Carolina where it's going to be cooler. I never thought I'd say that. All right, so the event on Monday. Well, so it's a week-long event, but we're just talking about ISSA today. There is a regional event. I think there are like 30, 35 people, maybe even a few more going to be there. Tom, looks like you're getting ready to pull up a link there.
I'm efforting.
If you haven't already registered and you're in any of those areas that Tom just mentioned, highly recommend that you go to this link, sign up, and then head on over to Charleston next Monday. See Tom's business, hear what a lot of different people have to say. And, the main thing everybody always wants to do is network. So it's going to be a prime networking opportunity. When you... if you are, let's see, there we go.
So I'll drop the link here in chat. If you haven't signed up, it's not too late. It is not too late. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not too late. No, not at all.
It soon will be too late.
Well, it's too late to go to your event because your event on Tuesday and Wednesday is completely sold out.
You're right. We're at capacity.
So can't do anything on those days if you're hoping to go to the MaidCentral live event. Sorry. Lead managed by the numbers, still room there if you want to go there, but that's all the way on Thursday and Friday. So that's a little bit of a tough push there. Okay, so Tom's already posted that. I guess we could just move on. Looks like Shanna's got all her stuff pulled up over here too. She got that all figured out.
I did.
Yeah. So, Shanna, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are? Because nobody here, or not nobody, but we probably have a few people on here that haven't met you before.
Yes, thank you. So I am relatively new to ISSA residential. I became a member, I believe, last fall. I did teach a webinar earlier this year, and I think it was about a marketing checklist. So people might have come across me with that webinar, but I'm so happy to be here today and talk with you a little bit about home service providers as referral sources and how you can make the most of that. And I'm going to warn you, I can't see you because the way my screen is I've got my keynote pulled up, so I've got my things. But if you need to catch my attention, you might just do it audibly.
So you can't see this.
I can't, all I can see are my slides.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
always the worst, right? That's the one thing about StreamYard that is frustrating. When you're the one that's trying to present your stuff, you can't see the people.
Yes. Yes.
It is
Yeah. So
tough.
I'm just going to pretend like I'm an anchor on broadcast news and I can't see you, but you can see me. But you can see my slides.
Sure.
So I actually have a couple of slides about who I am and why I'm here.
Perfect.
If you want, I can just go ahead and jump in. Is that okay?
I have a
Sure.
question before we get too deep into this.
Yeah.
Where
You
did
want to know about our earrings? Is that
Yes,
what?
tell me about those earrings. They're gorgeous.
I bought them at Target on clearance, as I do much of my shopping.
So Tom, so that you know where I got my matching or almost matching earrings, I believe I got mine on Shein, maybe on Temu. I buy cheap earrings.
Okay.
All right, now you know, Tom.
Shanna, the other question I have, the picture hanging over your head, where of that fine city, what's the
Yes.
origin of that?
Yes. So my mom and I, for several years, got to go on these fun mother-daughter trips, and Charleston was our first one. And we visited probably 5 years ago. And when I'm traveling, I love to buy some piece of artwork from the place that I'm visiting. And so I bought this, and I think you're actually the first person I've spoken with that has seen it on Zoom, and actually lived there. So that's fun. But I think I bought it. I bought it somewhere downtown while we were there, and then came home, had it framed. And what you can't see is over here, I have some other things, like some Scotland art as well.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Tom was all excited. He's like, "Oh, look, Charleston in the background."
yes.
We made it. We finally made it. Okay. It was cool
Well,
because we were chatting before we went live. Shanna asked me, "Well, where are you located?" And it's like, I'm in that picture over your shoulder there.
which is funny because if anyone should have this art above their head on a Zoom call, it should be you. So I should probably just give this to you.
I
It's
think the thing you have in the background, Tom, how old is that? That has been there for 2 decades.
That was the first. Well, no, it was the first edition of Cleaning Business Today, which
Okay.
was April 1st, 2013.
Oh, it's only 1 decade.
Yeah.
That's all. Just 1 decade. Nice. Boy, things have changed.
A little bit. A little bit.
All
So
right. I don't think we've talked about this topic for quite a long time. I'm excited to hear what you're going to share here today, Shanna.
Yeah, well, thank you both for having me. I am happy that Amber thought of me and that Amber recommended me, and I'm happy to share this topic with you. It's kind of a passion of mine. Today, we are going to talk about how trusted home service providers that are already working in the homes of your ideal clients can be a gold mine for attracting new clientele. So, we're going to cover a few things. First, we're going to talk about why this is important and why referral sources are so important in marketing and business development. Then we're going to talk about identifying the right strategic partners for your area, because we're all focused on local area. So we want to be sure to find the right partners. And then how to start those conversations, even if you're an introvert, even if it feels awkward. I have some just very foolproof, surefire ways to start those conversations. And then we're going to talk about how this can lead, how these conversations, this relationship building can lead to added value for your clients and theirs. It's going to extend the longevity of those client relationships or opportunity for. And it's also going to potentially increase sales opportunities for you both. So, a little bit about me. My name is Shanna Goodman. I have been in business development for about 18 years and have been a brand strategy agency or digital marketing agency owner for the last 8 years, and I've specialized in specifically service-based small business growth. And then over the last couple of years, I started specializing in specifically home services. So I went deep into professional organizing and then cleaning business, and I've also got a few ancillary industries as well, but all home service providers. I like to write. I contribute regularly to Business Insider, Forbes, Fit Small Business, Working Mother, which is now kaput, but that one was a fun one, and also Create and Cultivate. We have lots of resources available on our website at growwithhomepros.com. And so we offer marketing services for home service providers.
Hey, Mom, not Mom. How about Tom, not Mom? Maybe you could pull up, well, what was it? Growwithhomeservices.com?
Growwithhomepros.com.
Sure, I can share that real quick, and then we can go
Drop that
back
link.
to the deck.
Great, thank you.
This is your website.
Yep, growwithhomepros.com.
I'll drop the URL in chat.
Cool. All right. And back to,
Oh, this is beautiful.
yeah, it
So
is.
somebody wants to contact you or shop. There's all kinds of things, calls to actions here. Maybe we'll swing back to that
Sure.
before we're done.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I live in Manhattan, Kansas with my husband and 2 daughters. Are you familiar with Manhattan, Kansas?
Yeah, the Little Apple. My daughter lives there. She went to college at Wesleyan or something over there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my husband and I went to college here. We left. We lived in Kansas City for 10 years, and then we came back. And it's just a great little place to raise our kids. It's a fun college town, and we can walk places. And so that's where we are. And I'm going to strongly consider getting Manhattan, Kansas art and put it right there so I can switch out.
Yeah. Is it Kansas State that's in Manhattan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, Kansas State. And my husband grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, which is the home of the University of Kansas.
Okay.
So he was the black sheep of the family, had to go, to go to the state school.
Every family has one.
Right.
Well, I think that's where my son-in-law went to school then.
There's
Kansas State. Yeah, K-State.
Yep. Okay. Well, Manhattan is called the Little Apple. We also call it Manhappiness and Manhappenin. So I am excited that you have some history with it.
Yeah, me too.
We love to ride bikes. I love to read. My girls like to read. My husband, not so much. But I do have an upcoming book called Cleaning Business Marketing Made Simple that is coming out October 19th. Another version of it, actually the original version of it, was released yesterday called Pro Organizer Marketing Made Simple. And so that was released yesterday. So today has been a little bit celebratory for that.
Yeah, congratulations. That's super
you.
exciting.
So you have a URL for that, Cleaning Business Marketing Made Simple.com. I dropped that link in chat as well to make it easy for people.
Great, thank you.
I can pre-order it here.
Yes, it's available for pre-order on Kindle. It's not available for pre-order on paperback until the day that it comes out, but it will be available on paperback or in paperback as well, October 19th.
So
Very cool.
what was your experience in writing a book? Was it hard? Would it take a long time? How do you?
Yes and yes.
How do you, it isn't like it. You don't have other things going on in your world. How do you find the time to do that?
So I love to write. I love to read. I read 50 to 70 books every year. I love to write. I have to make time for it. And what I found was if I just carved out an hour right after my time at the gym in the morning. So my kids walk out in the school year. My kids walk out the door. I go to the gym. I come back and then I carve out an hour. And that's kind of when I have the most creative energy. And I just love it. I sit there and I think, sometimes I might think, what am I going to write about? And then other days, like the second my fingers touch the keyboard, I'm off and I look up and it's been 90 minutes. There's a lot to it. I'd be happy to get into the details of specifics, like, creating the manuscript is one thing. Then you also need editing. You need to have it designed and laid out, and then promotion is its whole other thing. There's a lot to it. It's not simple, but this isn't my first book. It's probably the third, or I think it's the fourth book that I have published. And the reason I did so is because not everybody can find me and not everyone can afford to work with me, but most people can afford a $10 book. And I've learned some things in my 18 years of business development, and specifically small business and local service-based small business marketing, that I felt could help a lot of people and just kind of give people a roadmap. And so I wanted to distill it all down, put it together, and it's out in the world now.
And
Very cool.
it takes a lot of discipline, and it's a labor of love as well. I mean, one thing I've learned is if you're doing it as a profit center, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anyone, at least not anyone I know, can, sits down to try to make $1 million on something like that. It's usually a passion project, and it's usually to be able to share something they've learned.
Oh, my buddy Steven, he's big into that. Stephen King, you might have heard of that.
Oh, yeah, that one.
It's a good one.
Hey, Alexander, good to see you this week.
I loved Stephen King's book. I think it was called On Writing. I listened to it as an audiobook at the gym, and he talked all the way through how he got started writing and then his entire process. It was fascinating. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it.
Well, I haven't, so I'm going to, though. I always take a good recommendation.
Absolutely.
Tom does too. I see him writing too. We love recommendations. Yeah.
I always have recommendations. I have friends that come to me for those recommendations.
Me too. So. Me too. All right. Well, I'm excited. So, with professional referrals, tell us more about this.
Okay. So, distilled down. I mean, I know that the catchy cover of the workshop is uncovering a gold mine of new clients, building relationships with other home service providers. Really distilled down, boiling it down, what we're talking about is professional referrals. And we're going to start with why they're important, and then talk through how to identify good referral sources. I don't think referrers is a word, but because it's so hard to say, Autospell didn't correct me, but I'm going to say referral sources instead of referrers, and then where to find them, how to reach out. So professional referrals is really what we're talking about. And first, I want to share with you my philosophy on how to get clients. And I believe there are only two ways to get clients. First is to be found when they're looking for you. So if someone types in cleaning service near me or house cleaning near me, you want to be found when your prospective clients are looking for you. The second way to get found by your clients is to make them think of you when they're not looking for you. So maybe they're not specifically looking for your services, but you can let them know you exist, remind them that you exist, and just kind of that continuous education of what you have to offer and why you are the exact thing that they need, even if they don't know it. And today's topic of those professional referral sources really falls in the category of making them think of you when they're not looking. When there are people out in the community, other credible service providers in the community talking you up, that's more valuable than any single type of advertising you can do. And this is exactly why this is important. We're starting here because knowing why you're doing something and how it fits into your big picture can help you prioritize what I know is probably a plethora of tasks on your plate. You are all are small business owners. I'm a small business owner, and we're always prioritizing and juggling what we need to get done and when and how. So this is why it's important. I am going to hit you with some stats. So there's high trust in referrals in every single demographic. In its latest Global Trust in Advertising report, Nielsen highlighted a growing trend in the industry that consumer trust in traditional advertising channels has markedly decreased. So when we're talking about traditional marketing channels, we're talking television, radio, magazine ads, just kind of what you think of as far as traditional advertising. So consumer trust in traditional advertising has decreased, while personal recommendations among customers is by and far away the most trusted advertising format. The fact that customer to customer referrals was ranked number one for trustworthiness was not a huge surprise, because if you think about people's behavior, that's just kind of how we operate, right? We trust. We know our friends. We know the people that are around us in our community. We trust them if we have reason to trust them. Um, but not a huge surprise. But what did cause a stir was the extent to which it led the way in consumer opinions. So it just kind of blew everything else out of the water. Personal recommendations didn't just edge out all of the operations or all other options. It blew them out of the water with an 81% vote of confidence, compared to its nearest rival of option being consumer online opinions, which are reviews. That's a fancy way to say reviews, which trailed just 58%. So if I back out of that, what we're saying here is that personal recommendations were by and large the number one way that people trust how to go about finding something new. And then the second is referrals and recommendations.
Well,
So
a lot of times you'll hear stats and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, whatever. But this, man, this one hits me hard. I'm like, absolutely. I have no argument at all. I 100%. I'm like, only 81%? That's because that other 19% of your friends are dumb, right?
Yeah.
They give bad recommendations, but we still listen to them. I love
right.
them. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
this high either. Shocked me, but I totally believe it.
Yeah. And it's not, so often, we get into this mind frame or this mindset of, what's the hot trendy thing right now that people are talking about. And a lot of times, it's social media, it's TikTok, it's this or that. And so a lot of small business owners will spend a lot of effort and energy trying to chase the trends, when in reality, it's the simple things. It's the recommendations, and it's the reviews, online reviews, and it's every category of every demographic of age range. So regardless of who your ideal client is, they are likely falling in this range. Because I think Gen Z is like young adults. So unless you're talking to young teenagers, which I don't know anyone in the home service-based business that is doing that, basically everything is represented here.
Wow. Tom,
Also,
did you read a book about this too, not that long ago, that had kind of this basic idea of, hey, just talk to people and reach out to people that actually know you, know who you are, know what you do. Okay?
Yeah, it's it I guess the philosophy is there was three types of like leads, usually planting seeds, casting nets, and throwing spears. And a lot of times we spend a lot of time outbound marketing or inbound marketing when there's a lot of friends and family and people who we already know that we don't really spend the right amount of time with trying to present to them the merits of the product or service that we offer.
And when you dive in and identify very strategic people that could be singing your praises, that's where it gets even more impactful. And that's where the referral sources really come in, is because it could be that you could spend your time talking with your neighbors, with other people in the community, your family, your friends. But what if you identified people that are already in the homes of your ideal clients, who are already being asked questions about who they should hire to clean their house? You want their name. You want them to say your name, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of the, I guess, the thesis of my my talk today, is that all of these things make a ton of sense based on everything else we know. And then so these statistics just kind of drive the point home. So when referred by a friend, people are 4 times more likely to make a purchase. Word of mouth is the primary factor behind 20 to 50% of purchase decisions across the board, not even just home services. And referred customers show 16% higher profits. And I think some things behind that, some psychology behind that, is that customers referred to you are likely to become loyal and spend more money because you come recommended. And so it kind of weeds out some of those tire kickers or those the deal seekers.
And Shanna, you know, those of us who've run house cleaning businesses have noticed this phenomenon for years, that if you track your leads by lead source, I mean, that's one of the things that we do in MaidCentral, and almost without exception, your highest close rate is going to be leads that you got through a referral.
Yes. It makes so much sense.
It really does. Yeah.
And this is because referrals take advantage. And I have oh yes, I've got it coming up. So referrals take advantage. So referrals and even online recommendations, but mostly referrals, take advantage of strong social bonds and can help consumers wade through shopping options very quickly. So even traffic generated through referrals tend to be well qualified because, like we just said, it's someone they trust, is familiar with the situation, and they referred you. And I mean, I guess we don't really, I was going to say, think of a time, the last time you needed a service provider. Yes, you could go to Google and you could look for every single, maybe there's 30 different plumbers in your area. But if you can narrow it down, you will. So I think we all know the power of referrals there.
Absolutely.
Okay, one more slide on the psychology of referrals, and then we're going to dive into how to identify good referral sources. So I mentioned social bonds just a minute ago, but let's talk about the psychology of referrals just a little bit more. And I apologize, this graphic is not mine. It's a little jankety, but I feel like it does its job. So I'm going to tell you about this graphic. We can see at the top middle, we see 2 balloons that say referrer incentive, and the other being social capital, number of referrals in the middle, and then these kettleballs at the bottom that are holding the balloons up that indicate effort required and social risk. So this graphic is a little bit more dedicated to like friend to friend referrals, but the same is true with professional referrals. The wording of the motivation just changes a bit. So the incentive, the left side of this list for the referral source, goes like this. They want to have a strong Rolodex, a strong list of connections in various services, because they want to better help their clients. It's worth building a relationship with a quality service provider because if shared, it could be worth money or additional goodwill. But you have to make it easy for the service provider. And I have friends that are cleaners that have told me that they've often been kind of the hub of resources. If someone that they regularly are in their home cleaning their house, they might say, hey, I need an organizer. Who do you recommend? Or we need to do some more lawn care or landscaping and then long-term lawn care. Who do you recommend? So for her, it makes a lot of sense to kind of have this Rolodex in her head of really qualified, great people. And then we've got the social capital side on the right side is
Shanna,
that,
and I need to
yes,
stop you for a second.
yeah,
You mentioned Rolodex, and
yes.
whenever I say that, I get beat up because I'm like, you know,
She
this
can
is
say it.
20,
She's young and cute.
this is 2023. So I really I want to commend you and thank you for
Thank
using the
you.
term Rolodex.
Yes.
You might need to define what that is for some of our audience, but you're making me look good. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. That's what I'm here for. Um, network of connections. How about that?
Okay.
It's so
Go
funny.
ahead, Tom. Show your Rolodex. Pull it out. Come on.
It's
No,
so
I'm
funny.
not gonna show off.
I had a Rolodex when I got out of college. Um, I was in my first office job, and I felt so sophisticated with my plastic thing that you could spin around, and it had these cards, and I'd meet new people, and I'd put them in there. It was great.
So
Um,
funny.
but yeah, we don't do that anymore.
No.
We don't really think of all of our connections, and we probably don't even necessarily list them unless they're on our social media connections. Now, a home service provider could be really intentional about who they recommend for different things, and maybe they've created a spreadsheet. But yeah, we don't really have a tangible visual of those things anymore, do we?
No, not the same way. That's for sure.
Okay, I want to touch on. Oh, go ahead.
The question did come
Oh,
up what
there
a
it is.
Rolodex is. So RJ,
Sorry
this
about
is for
that,
you.
guys.
I know this is before your time,
That
but
sounds like that looks like the fancy one that Shanna had too. That made her feel really posh, right?
So sophisticated.
Awesome.
Yes.
look at this. They're like antiques, $96.
Look at that. Yeah. So I was like, it's $100. Wow, crazy. All right.
That is
All
so
right.
funny. That is so funny. I'm glad you called me on it too. That is so funny. It has fallen out of the lexicon.
It really has.
Okay, so social capital. So just to touch on this, so the social capital is on the right side of this graphic, and we're kind of risking something if we refer someone that ultimately does a terrible job or
Yeah.
leaves their house unlocked or whatever. So there's always a weight of risk, and is it worth me doing? And if yes, then the effort required needs to be really low too. So for instance, you want to hit all the things of, you want to make sure that your clients, that you're going to come up with recommendations or referrals that not your friends, your clients will value. It's going to make you look good to have this expansive network of people. I won't say Rolodex again, expansive network of very highly qualified service providers. So that's going to make you look good. But you might be anxious about, if they don't perform at the level that you think they should. So I share all of this to say that when making referrals, there is some psychology involved on making sure that it's good, like a good use of your social capital. You want to make sure that they make you look good. When you refer someone, they need to make you look good, and vice versa. And then because people aren't going to risk their own reputation, especially professional reputation, if you're not a quality provider. But if you are, which I'm sure you are, if you're listening or watching this, those referrals are like money in the bank. You want to be the go-to residential cleaner for that real estate agent, your interior designer friend, the home remodeler, the professional organizer. You want to go out of your way to connect, build a relationship, and make them look good when they do refer you.
I
And
love
and like all of those reasons make a lot of sense. Sometimes where people kind of drop the ball is not making it easy enough. So I'm going to give some really specific instances on how to make it easy
I'm ready.
for people to refer you.
I got my pen. I'm ready.
Okay.
It's covered with hair, but I'm ready.
Okay, first we're going to talk about identifying good referral sources. So you heard me say some specific ones. So wanting to be the go-to residential cleaner for real estate agents, interior designers, home remodelers, professional organizers. There are also, of course, plumbers, electricians, other people. But I want you to think about the people that are already working in the homes of your ideal clients. And knowing this, of course, starts with knowing who your ideal client is. Where do they live? In what neighborhoods specifically? What kind of jobs do they have? What challenges and stressors do they have? Where do they spend their time? And then this will all help you with your marketing messaging, of course. But really, the money shot here is who else is in their home or who else is providing services in their home? Who do they already trust? And so the answer to how do I identify a good referral source is to identify who else already has social capital with them and who would be willing to make the effort to refer you.
So, Shanna, I have a question. When
Yes.
you're talking about who else is in their home, are you talking about what specific company? Because we know what services are in their home, but you're talking specifically, you got to ferret
Specific
out
companies.
who exactly are the popular people with your clients. Okay, awesome.
Yes. And so let's say, for instance, your cleaning service is kind of high end. You want to do really big square foot homes. You want to be on the luxe end of things. And maybe some of your services are also kind of housekeeping and concierge that really serves a very affluent client well. So what you're going to do is you're going to find specifically who those affluent people are hiring. And so I have some kind of sneaky ways to figure out how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here. This might be overkill. You might already know who these service providers are, but rather than just like every service provider in the area, I guess what I'm really challenging you to do is think through specific households and who they already trust. So like the example I gave of the affluent homes. If you're in Kansas City, I'm doing a Kansas City example because I lived in Kansas City for 10 years. So let's say with that example that I just gave, Kansas City, let's say Kansas City is my service area, and I want that high-end clientele. They are affluent, they have huge houses, they have a lot on their plate, they have a lot of expectations on them. Their kids are busy with their own busy schedules of sports and activities, etc. These are couples with high-profile jobs, and they need to be organized, efficient, and just have their household managing very, very well. So if I know my area, and I do, if I'm looking for people like that in the Kansas City metro area, I'm going to look at neighborhoods in Johnson County. I don't know if you guys have are familiar with the area at all, but these are going to be specific suburbs like Mission Hills, Prairie Village, Lake Quivira, Shawnee. And then also on the other side of Kansas City, there is the Country Club Plaza area, and then Warnall and Ward Parkway. So what I have just described is kind of this circular central area, but very, very, very specific neighborhoods, because those would be my ideal clients.
So most people, I think, know that, right? You know the areas in your area, right, Tom? Like
Pretty much, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I know them pretty much too. I mean, I might not know every single one of them, but I have a pretty good idea. I'm thinking most people do. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, your production management database would have zip codes and zones in various ways that you could just look at your existing customer base and identify your best customers, and you'll see that they're usually grouped to a handful of communities in the larger area that you service.
Yep.
Nice.
Exactly. And so if we dig a little bit further, we might think more about what we know about them. So it could be that your existing clientele does what you just described. They're kind of concentrated in these specific areas, but maybe you're building out new types of services that you're trying to attract a new type of clientele. This can be a way that you do that. And thinking through what you know about them, where they live, do they send their kids to private school, country clubs? What do they have season tickets to? Identifying those neighborhoods and then the service providers in those areas, and specifically like Googling service providers in those areas. Some make it super simple with easy taglines mentioning neighborhoods like serving the Country Club Plaza and Brookside since 1975. So if I'm a residential cleaner looking to build out my business in the affluent areas of Kansas City metro area, that's who I'm going to look for. And you can look also, so you can Google, like I just mentioned. You can also find neighborhood websites and Facebook groups. So look for local and community groups on Facebook. You can do some on-the-ground reconnaissance by checking out the service vehicles and driveways, signs and yards. You can also look up houses on Zillow if you want to identify real estate agents in those specific areas. And some even have neighborhood business associations. So all of those kind of suburb towns that I mentioned in the Kansas City metro area, they all have their own individual chambers of commerce. But they also have BNI and some of those other things that you'll just have to kind of weigh if the time spent will be gotten out. But this is a good way to find people that are serving your ideal client. And so I have a question for you guys is, I mentioned some of the service providers that I've seen be really good referral sources. What referral sources have you seen be very advantageous for your businesses?
We've done campaigns before with spas, with veterinary clinics, with dry cleaning services, anything that consumers of a certain socioeconomic, that fit the demo that we're targeting might use.
Okay. Great.
Well, pet sitters is another really good one. Pet groomers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landscapers.
Good one. Yeah.
Landscapers is a good one.
Window cleaners, yeah, for sure. Carpet cleaners too. We've had better luck with like the dry carpet cleaners, like the Dry-X. They tend to work more in the higher end areas.
Yep.
I like the high end landscapers though.
Right.
A good one too.
Yes. And so what I would recommend, and you're probably already doing some of this, you've probably already done some of this, but making a list of some of those types of services and then reaching out and specifically, this sounds scary, but maybe making a phone call or an email. I know. Back when we had our Rolodexes, we used the phone all the time, guys.
It's normal to pick up a phone and call somebody. Yeah.
Right. And so this is really basic if you get really nervous on, reaching out to people, especially if you don't already have some level of familiarity with them. If you're new to the area or if you're seeking clientele in a little bit different neighborhoods or kind of outside your norm, really just cold calling the lawn care providers, those high-end landscaping companies, those dry carpet cleaners, the window cleaners, people that are already have the trust of the people that you're trying to get into their homes. And you can just very simply let them know what you are, who you are, what you do, and just offer to buy a coffee, offer to get to know them, how they work. And the idea is that it's a mutual thing where you learn about what they have to offer as that high end landscaper. They learn what you have to offer. And then you're encouraging them to have, to recommend you when their clients at some point are talking in their presence and asking if they have a good recommendation for residential cleaners. And specifically, I mentioned these kind of bullet points because um, it's very clear. It's who you are and what you do. Because remember, they're busy, you're busy. And at this point, we're kind of weighing in on the effort piece. Remember that graphic a few slides ago? It was like risk and effort. You want to make the risk low and you want to make the effort that they have to put out low as well. So make it clear you're doing the work. You are knowing that they're busy, you're acknowledging that they're busy, you're stating your purpose, and then you'll be expending the effort in this conversation. And then it's time bound. So can I buy you coffee sometime this week or next? Tends to get you more in-person meetings than just like, hey, I'd love to talk sometime.
All right, so speak to me a little bit more about that, Shanna, because every time somebody wants to meet me for coffee, I instantly cross them off my list. I'm like, even a half hour, like coffee with someone is going to take me an hour and a half because I'm going to have to drive there, park, go in, do all this stuff. We got to chit chat for a little bit before we actually get down to business. Then I got to drive home again. So I'm like, I'll jump on a Zoom with someone. I'll jump on a call with them. But if they're like, but I'm seeing Amber over here is like all day long with the white chocolate mocha, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Am I the anomaly here?
So, and that's kind of why I opened this with knowing, us talking about how this fits in to your business model and your marketing plan helps you know where to prioritize it. So, everything that we've talked about up to this point is that, okay, referral sources, referrals are very important. Referrals do all these great things. They can make you a lot of money. They can, all these things.
Yeah.
But there's a cost to it. And it's probably easier to throw a couple of $100 at, a radio ad. But what we've learned is that it's not as effective as if someone is referring you. So, and that's where you have to weigh too, not every single person is going to be a good use of this kind of time. Because you're right. If you're physically meeting someone for coffee, that's going to cost you an hour, hour and a half of your time. But if you're wanting to get into a specific neighborhood and you know that this lawn care company or this interior designer kind of owns the neighborhood as far as like friendships and connections, it could be worth creating a friendship with this person.
Oh no, I said it wrong. I would absolutely see the value in that all day long, every day. But from the other person's perspective, like how do you, I'm like, can you catch them just with this? Is it good enough to get them to think to themselves, sure, I want to meet with Liz spend that much time out of my day?
Right. Yes.
And I'm wondering, is that a new shift or is it still working just as well? Or
do you give them an option, or if time is an issue, you got 15 minutes for a Zoom call?
Yeah. I would. All of those things I've done all of those things. I've offered, like, hey, I know you're busy. And that's part of the, acknowledging that they're busy, saying, if in person doesn't work for you, can I send you a Starbucks gift card? And do you have 15 minutes for a Zoom? But also, I'm very careful too in positioning this conversation in a way of it being mutually beneficial. Because kind of how we talked a few slides ago about how there are people that I'm not going to say Rolodex again. I'm not going to say Rolodex, but here it is. There are people that it makes sense in their business model. So like Amber Starling, Good Witch Cleaning, it makes sense in her business model to be perceived as this expert that has all the connections of all of the really great quality service providers. So what you're kind of pitching to them is that they're going to need to know you because they're going to want to refer clients to you.
Okay.
You know, Shanna, we're quickly running up on the top of the hour, and we want to be able to save a couple minutes at the end to share with people how to get a hold of you.
Yes.
Dang it.
Okay, so I had just gone into the slides that I just clipped through very quickly were more of a deep dive of finding specific people, but I think we've made the point, and I think we've kind of fleshed out the various factors that come into play: your time, their time, again, effort, risk, that sort of thing. One thing, actually, two quick things I want to share is that you can go about this lots of different ways. I know professional organizers and residential cleaners that create actual kind of packaged partnerships with realtors, with interior designers, that it's like, hey, if you work with both of us, you get an hour for free. Or I know a real estate agent that every time someone buys or sells, he gives a gift card for 2 hours of a professional organizer's time, or 2 hours of a cleaner's time, and he's paying for it. He might get a little bit of a discount because he buys them in bulk, but it's a mutually beneficial relationship that is a little bit more quantifiable, and you can see it takes a little bit more effort, but you can also see how some of those things can work together.
I've seen that bundled around holidays too, like Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, get a massage and a house cleaning combo.
That sounds like a great Mother's Day gift to me. I would take it all day long.
Yeah, right?
Well, thank you for having me today. I hope it was worth your time. Hopefully it's given you a little bit of something to think about. I do have some free resources. I have a Facebook group. It's called Social Media Marketing for Pro Organizers and Residential Cleaners. If you go to my website at
Hold up the Facebook group too, Tom. Put a link in there.
It's right there. I'm dropping it. So
Thank you.
All you have to do is just join the group.
You have to request, but all you have to say is your email address and that you are a residential cleaner or an organizer.
Okay.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
You got another link here to social media packs?
Yes. So we offer some free social media bundles and templates, customizable templates at growwithhomepros.com in our shop. It's the top right-hand corner. I also have a podcast. It's called Home Pros Marketing Made Simple. And we talk about lots of different things, diving in on various marketing and business development opportunities to help grow your business. And I also have a book coming out, as I mentioned, called Cleaning Business Marketing Made Simple. It is being released October 19th. It will be available in paperback and on Kindle on Amazon. And as kind of a pre-order bonus, you get 2 months free of our organized member dashboard, where we have tons and tons of grab and go graphics and customizable templates, even customizable content like newsletter articles and templates for flyers, business cards, and then all sorts of digital things as well.
Well, we get all that stuff because I'm not gonna do the soft cover book. I'm gonna do the Kindle. I'll still get all the stuff.
Yep.
Right.
You will.
All right. Sounds good. I love me some free stuff.
Yeah,
awesome.
Me too.
This was great, Shanna. This was awesome. It's a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for being a first-time guest. Certainly, hopefully not the last time guest. We don't hope you'll joining us in the not too distant future, because I have a feeling you've got a few more tricks in your toolbox you could share with us.
Yeah, yeah. I when this opportunity to talk with you all came up today, or yesterday, I went through the list of previous topics and thought this was one I didn't see on the recent list. So I thought
a
it was
good one.
worth talking about.
And Amber, I think Amber referred you, right?
Yeah,
So
thank you,
thank
Amber.
you. Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Amber. Are you going to be, Shanna, are you going to be in Vegas in November?
I am.
All
I'm
right,
very
well,
excited.
in person then.
I
That'll be
will
fun.
be, thank you. Yes, I will be on a panel the first night, the residential cleaning panel the
Tuesday?
first night. What's
I never
that?
remember. Is it Tuesday night? Is that the first night or Monday? I
I
never
think it's
remember.
Monday. I think it's Monday. I
Well,
bought my
I'll
plane
be there.
tickets the other day, so I should remember. But
It's November. That's what I
yes,
know.
thank
November.
you.
And this is August.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But yes, I
Well,
look forward to meeting you in person. Will you be there as well, Tom?
oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, I look
So
forward to meeting you.
we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap for today. And any last matters of business, Liz?
I don't think so. Everybody hope to see some of you in Charleston next week
Yeah.
on Monday. Looking forward to it.
This is your last chance if you want to make it to the regional event on Monday. We're getting a big crowd, but I do believe that they still have a few more slots available. If you're interested, I'll go ahead and drop that link in chat again. So
You're really tempting me,
But to
Tom.
be clear, Tom, it is not a lot spots. I
right.
think there's might be like 3. So
Oh my,
not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't get pushy. Don't get too pushy. You
Okay.
don't have that much room.
Make sure you really want to go. If you're not sure, forget about it because we. Okay, we'll be back next Wednesday. We're going to be kind of busy next Wednesday. I don't think we're
We'll
going to
let
be
you
here.
know.
No, we're not going to be here next Wednesday, but we will be
We're both gonna be working.
here the 30th. We're going to be taking next Wednesday off because we're going to be in Charleston doing a lot of cool training stuff. But we'll be back August 30th with the next edition of Smart Business Moves. So until then, everybody be safe, take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again, Shanna. See you soon.